Hey guys, it's Hollie here for PlayStation Access, and we're carrying on with Indie Week. I am with one of my favourite people.
Oh, come on.
Absolutely favourite, Mike Bithell, and we're going to be talking about life after Thomas was alone, and of course, Volume.
Yes.
Which is looking fantastic. You've just done your most, as you described, ostentatious announcement in a castle.
Yes, I don't know if any indie games have ever announced their storyline in a castle before.
I think that's awesome.
I think I'm safe in saying it's the first time that's been done.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But I want you to talk about how you came up with Volume, because Thomas Alone was a great game, but these two games couldn't feel or look further apart. So what was it like coming up with a new? How do you come up with a new idea? Do you have a list? So you're like, today we'll pick that one.
Well, actually, like, you're not far off in an embarrassing way, and that yeah, no, exactly right. So I worked for years making games for other people, and I think like a lot of kind of people who play games or make games or whatever, I had a list of games. Oh, if one day I could make this game, it'd be awesome. And I've got 5 games, and of those 5 games, the one that I thought I could realistically make in kind of evenings, weekends, was Thomas Was Alone. So that was the first game that I made, because that was the one that frankly I thought I could actually achieve while having a day job. But then when that did really well, and suddenly I didn't have to have a day job anymore, and suddenly I had some kind of finances to, you know, bring in other team members and do cool things, the next one on the list was the stealth game I've been designing since I was playing Metal Gear Solid.
Amazing.
Back in the day, yeah.
Thomas Alone was just you.
Well, me and a couple of people, so David, my composer, and then Danny the voice.
So,
just 3, yeah.
So when it comes to like actually making the game, physically coding it and getting it all out there, how many people are working on Volume then? Is it still just you, and then? In
terms of like code and design or core design, that's all me still. Mainly because I just write such bad code, I would never ask anyone else to try and interact with it. But then I've got a bunch of artists, so we've got a really big art team. I think we're probably edging towards like 9 people at this point working on the game, on and off. Artists, David's back doing music. Got a sound designer for the first time, because I need more than like the clicks and clacks that I did on a rubbish synthesizer. And then, you know, a bigger cast. So it's all kind of scaling up, which is cool.
Let's talk about the story, because that is what you announced in your ostentatious castle environment. You announced the story, so I think we should touch on that ever so slightly, because it's a real kind of modern twist on what is quite an old tale.
Like 700 years old. It's the oldest story. No, it's not the oldest story, but it's one of the older ones. So that's why I did it in Nottingham Castle. Basically, Volume is Robin Hood. It's the story of a guy called Robert Loxley, who is on the run and finds a warehouse where he basically finds like a military training simulator, which has been used by the bad guys to train up their guards in order to protect basically the rich. And he finds this, and he's kind of a nerd, so he works out how to slightly spin it on its head, and instead of being a training simulator, he uses it to simulate crimes against the rich, which he then broadcasts. He's like a Let's Player for crime, basically.
That's so amazing.
I think it's just I got increasingly interested in how people kind of talk to each other nowadays. So Robin Hood was always this kind of traditional hero. It was always about a message of hope, and it was always about a story told amongst people who, you know, were less privileged in society throughout history. And it strikes me that now, if you wanted to get that message out to the world, you'd do it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You'd spread that message. That's where word of mouth happens now. So this idea of making a game about that kind of personality, to me, if you're going to set it in the modern world, which Volume is, you have to go to that kind of video conversation, you know, much like this. So it makes a lot of sense.
That's amazing. Now, voice acting is obviously with Thomas Alone was a huge thing, because it brought that game to life. Now, living Danny Wallace is back.
He is.
But you're also working with a YouTube celebrity as well to really give Robert some life as well. So you want to tell us about your new voice acting superstar and getting Danny back as well.
Well, Danny was a no-brainer. Danny was very much like Danny was the case where it was like, okay, I need to find a part for Danny. I wrote a part for Danny. The role he plays is it's an AI again, because he plays AIs in my games, and it's basically the tutorial program from this training simulator. The way I've been describing it is the Microsoft Office paperclip of military simulators. So he's like this really charming, friendly guy who just wants to help the protagonist, but is really obsessed with guns. So yeah, Robert Loxley is played by a guy called Charlie McDonnell, who I've been a fan of for years. And basically, yeah, he's this awesome kind of YouTube guy who does a lot of vlogging. It turns out he's a massive indie games fan. And he said, you know, this is like a dream come true. Just to be in a video game is one of the things he's always wanted to do. So it's all kind of worked out really well.
So let's talk about the music, because one of the things I love about Thomas Was Alone was the soundtrack, and even now when I'm at work, you know, my default go-to music is that Thomas Was Alone soundtrack. So I believe David is back working with you on Volume.
Yeah.
What was it like getting him again? Because I think I remember you telling me that he became quite popular after Thomas Was Alone.
Yeah, he did. But basically, yeah, just when back in February when I started work on Volume, just gave him a call and said, dude, I want you to work on this.
Back.
Can we just find? So we found in his schedule a gap that we could kind of make it happen in. So yeah, he's about to start. He's done a couple of tracks which have been featured in some of the trailers. But yeah, he's going to kind of really get into that very soon.
He is honestly so talented, so very excited to have him back.
So annoyingly young as well.
Yeah, he's very, very, very young, so it's obviously a gift that this guy has got. So hopefully, knock it out the park with Volume. Come on, Mike.
This is the hope, yeah. I need to make sure I keep making good enough games to justify his work, basically. Sure. We'll see.
So my final one's got to be about gameplay. So I believe he says sort of the game can be kind of played the way that maybe the community kind of wants to play it, yeah. Which is, it sounds very big.
It does when you say it like that. But the idea is really to give players a kind of a stealth game sandbox. So I'm going to create an authored kind of story progression game, single player kind of experience that I want people to enjoy. But after that, I don't want them, like Thomas Was Alone, I don't want them to just stop playing. With this one, the idea is that you'll play it, you'll have the story stuff, but then afterwards you're going to have all the cool toys that I was so obsessed since being the age of 13 in getting. So that's the idea, is it's a level editor basically. So
I think the last question is obviously the one of the most important, and probably the one that you probably can't answer. When's it out?
2014 is the goal still, so kind of mid to late 2014.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I love talking to you.
I love talking to you as well.
It's so nice.
This lovely, this amazing sofa as well.
In my breakfast room.
It's awesome, and this is a recreation of your living room, right? This enormous TV.
We're in my house.
Yeah.
It's really, it's wonderful. No.
It's nice.
But no, thank you so much for joining us and for talking to us about Volume as well.
Yeah, it's been great.